The Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association presents Freshman Focus, a look at 2-year-olds in training across the Buckeye State. Freshman Focus is presented by Sugar Valley Farm. Looking for your next quality standard-bred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. And by Eldorado Scioto Downs, now racing Tuesday through Saturday. First post time, 6:15. Now here's your host, OHJJ brand ambassador, Roger Houston.
Another edition of Freshman Focus, visiting various trainers here in the Buckeye State and talking to them about their 2-year-olds in training. With us today is John Ackley from Washington Courthouse, Ohio. 4 2-year-olds in his barn, and we'll be asking and talking about preparation for the upcoming racing season and how they obtained these youngsters for their stable. John, to start things off, how long have you been in the business of harness racing?
Approximately 42 years.
Are you still in the process of learning day to day?
Yes, I believe you have to learn something every day or you'll fall behind.
John, 2-year-olds are all different, and they're different from racehorses. How do you treat your youngsters when you first bring them into the barn?
Well, I do things a lot different than a lot of people when I break them. I may line drive my colts for a solid 2 weeks. And the reason for that is I just want them to learn to trust me and to turn very well, and just for their manners. And I see a lot of guys hook them after they've had them in the barn a day, and that's fine if that's how you want to do it. But I know when I hook mine to the cart, when I go out there, I don't need no third line to turn them or whatever have you, and they trust me. And I really feel that that's the best way to do it. Just take your time, and they have to learn to trust you.
It's a learning process for them as well.
Absolutely.
So they got to be comfortable in what you want them to do.
Absolutely.
Let's go back one step further. What determines who you buy at the sale?
Well, I always pick a stud or two out to buy the yearlings from, and then I look at a lot of yearlings and their conformation and their size, and I like for a horse to have a good looking head on it, and that's the main thing for me. Is a lot of times I don't worry so much about the size if I think that they're an A+ in conformation, and I've had a lot of luck that way. Some of the best horses I have been small horses.
When you go and purchase a youngster, do you have partners in mind, or do you want them to be the sole owner?
Well, you know, I've trained mostly for Charles Taylor, CT Stables, and we've had some success. And I have my son. He normally puts a group together that might buy 1 or 2, and but as far as that goes, I would rather own them myself, or that way I can call all the shots, you know what I'm saying? But I don't own many horses right now, and I don't have a whole lot right now. I've got 9 head that I'm training, and they're all quality horses. They seem to be getting along very well, and I've had to cut one and things like that, but overall I just think that the quality of the horse is made in the barn after you buy them. They have to be made. You have to have good help. They have to take care of the horses, and I don't care who your help is, you still have to keep an eye on them. That's my job, and it's important. And I have good help, and you know, I've been fortunate and I've been blessed, and I'm not ready to give up yet.
You mentioned you have 9 in your stable. 4 of those are 2-year-olds, 2 colts and 2 fillies. You mentioned that you cut one. That means you gelded it.
Yes, sir.
Why did you geld that particular colt?
Well, I was having trouble getting him gated up, and I felt like he was getting worse instead of better. And he was always yelling and screaming on the track. I was training him, and he'd be sitting behind a horse, and just all of a sudden he'd start yelling, and he never ever kept his mind on his work. And that's the most important thing to any trainer with any horse that they have or train, is the horse must keep their mind on their business and to become a good horse.
Is it an instant change in their attitude when you geld them?
No, it'll take, I'd say 2 to 3 weeks, and then you'll see the difference. You know, I cut that one Saturday, and we turned him this morning, and before I turned him, he was a bellering out there and yelling, you know. But he's pacing all the time now, and that's the main thing for me. And I mean, that bellering and screaming, it'll leave here in a couple weeks. So.
Now, you mentioned you looked at the stallions and you go there, but do you put a lot of interest and look at the dam as well?
Oh, absolutely. I think that the dam is 80% of it. I really do. And I mean, you got to have a good mother, and I've been fortunate. I've been in long enough, and I watch a lot of horses race, and I you know, I can remember some of the mares, and you know how good of a mare they was. You know, about, you know, how they raced, and if they was I grade them on, you know, A through D, some of the mares, and I try and buy out the best mare I can buy out of.
You know, a lot of the bigger stables will race, train in sets of 4 or 5 horses or such, but with a smaller stable, you train in sets of 2. Like you train your 2 fillies together, you train your 2 colts together. Is that an advantage, you think, maybe, that you have a smaller number of horses?
Well, I think so. I think that a stable can be too big, and I'm hands-on. You know, I like to be hands-on and be able to sit behind. If I want to sit behind this one today or that one tomorrow, and a lot of times in a big stable with a lot of yearlings, there is no way that the trainer can sit behind all of them, the head trainer. Now, a lot of these stables, I've seen them, they've got some outstanding second trainers, and that's an advantage for if you're taking 3 or 4 or 5 together, if you've got that many yearlings. But like I say, the most I've taken together is 3, and but I always try and go with 2, so they can learn to pass and follow and relax and behind a horse and things of that sorts.
Now, you had sets of 2 today, and I noticed in both of your training sets, you took the 2-hole trip and let Travis Redden cut the miles out. Is that by plan?
No, it was today, because I was showing you in there, my watch had a piece of lint in it. You seen me take the front off of to get it out, and I said, well, I got that fixed. But that's why.
Honest truth, I thought you did it intentionally so that you could keep an eye on the other 2-year-old.
No, but any time that I pull on a colt, if I'm not cutting it, I'm looking at that colt more than I'm looking at my own. I look at to see how the hobbles is riding on them, or lengthwise, and see how their head is. And
now, next week when you train the 2-year-olds, will you switch with Travis, and
absolutely,
you take the other one, and
yes,
he'll take the one you took?
Yes, yes, we'll do it that way, and because, you know, I don't want the same horse on the front end every time I train.
Now, in the training process, you're training them for a certain date. When do you expect to qualify these 2-year-olds? Well,
I expect to qualify them in June. I'd like to go the second week of June. That's always I set a goal to qualify the second week of June, and I feel that you almost have to be ready then, and because if you don't go when they first go, and then you jump in about the 3rd week, well, then they're all going in 54, 55, and 56, and you're ready to go in 59 or 2 minutes. So you fall behind, and I don't think that's good for the horse, with horses pacing away from them first time they get in the qualifier. So I try and be ready to go when everyone else is. And at Scioto, because they qualify them like you're supposed to. You know, they'll try and go maybe 2 minutes or 2-1 and get home good, come the last quarter good. And that's what I shoot for.
Will you try to get a start in them before the stake races?
I like to. I like to get a start in a maiden before the stake races. And I've been fortunate enough to be able to do that the last 2 or 3 years. So.
Now you've got 4, Summer Trader, Fear Our Faith, No More, No Less, and Search the Sea. They're all pacers,
yes.
No trotters.
No trotters. I tried it one time. I think I bought 3 trotters one time, and I think I lost 100,000. No, probably not that much, but I give decent money for them, and just didn't pan out. I just, not that, I even went to Hawkinsville, Georgia with them, and trained them down there over a nice racetrack, a nice winter. And I thought I had something, but when I got, they just sort of fell apart.
You mentioned racetracks. How do you rate the county fair track here at Washington Courthouse?
Well, it's pretty good. Overall, it's pretty good. And we put material on it here not too long ago, and when it rains, it dries. If the sun will come out, it dries out very, very quick. And you know, you might get a ½ inch of rain or so today, and if that sun comes out late in the day or early morning, you're able to train. And we're very fortunate. We've got the equipment to work it and everything like that, you know.
Are you part of that track crew?
Yes, yes.
What's your specialty?
I like to screen. I like to hook the screen up to my truck and screen the track. Jeff Smith normally runs a tractor, and Brett Swartz and we all take turns with the water truck. So I like to water the track late in the evening when the sun goes down, then it's good the next morning, you know. But we get along pretty good doing it that way.
I want to thank John for spending some time with us here to talk about his operation. We're going to be heading into the barn to take a closer look at his 4 2-year-olds in the John Ackley stable. This is Summer Trader, a 2-year-old colt. John, tell us something about Summer Trader.
Well, we bought him at Lexington. Charles Taylor, CT Stables. He bought him at Lexington last fall, and he's been getting better every time we train him. Big colt, big gaited colt. He's a Sweet Lou colt, and I think he sort of looks just like him with the blaze. But I think he'll learn to go some, and he's starting to get his mind on his business all the time. And at first I was starting to wondering about cutting him, but I don't think we're going to have to. I've upped the miles on him and everything like that, and he's turning into a nice colt.
How much do you have to give for Summer Trader?
We give $50,000 for him.
$50,000. Is that about the normal price tag for most of your horses?
Yes, I would say. We give Charles Taylor give $105,000 for one, and we sold him. He sold, and so he made some money last year, and he got his money back, and so he did all right on him. But on the average, I would have to say $50,000.
Here's a filly, Fear the Faith. What's special about her?
Well, she's a Fear the Dragon, the only one I have, and we bought her at the select sale at Circleville, and my son and a guy by the name of Lane Burnell bought her, and they give 80-some hundred for her, and I think it might be a super buy at this time.
Do you have anything in her pedigree that stands out?
Somewhat, not a whole lot. We got her off of Midland Acres, and it was in their consignment, and they Jay Mossbarger come up to us and said, "You may have got the best buy in the sale."
Really?
Yes, but I mean, they liked her, and I really like her. She's got a great effort, got manners, good gait, and I hope that she turns out for the guy because one of them's a first-time owner, so hopefully.
That's always important
yes.
if you get them started right.
Yes, and
She's
nice.
doing everything right?
Absolutely, from day one. And I mean, like following, first time we followed, put them together in a group, and followed. I mean, she did everything like you want them to do.
Fear or faith? A little different spelling on the faith, F-A-Y-T-H. Another filly in the John Ackley stable. No more, no less. What about her?
Well, she's a pet rock filly, and we raised her. She's out of a mare by the name of None of You, and we raised her, and the mare's not had a whole lot of success, but hopefully this will be the one, you know.
Have you had some luck in the past with homebreds?
Not really. I can't say overall that I have. Now, years back I did. You know, I had some luck. I raced some pretty nice horses, but in the past here I haven't. And
has the business changed in that way?
I think so, but I'll tell you, like me, to have a little farm and to have brood mares and to take care of them the way you're supposed to, it's too tough to run a racehorse stable. And you have to hire more people and everything like that to take care of them the right way. And you have to have a top brood mare. You get a lot of money invested, you know. And a guy like me, if I got 2 brood mares and I breed them and have all that time, a year or two, a year carrying, and in 2 years before I can race them, then one of them happens to die or something, and I've lost a lot of money. So I don't think for me, it's not the way to go.
However, if no more, no less would turn out to be the best of the bunch, you'd be a mighty proud person.
Absolutely. And I hope she does. I mean, I think she's got a chance. She's seeing a lot of stuff right now. I'm going to have to get a shadow roll on her and make a couple changes. So, but her gait's good, her attitude's good, and she acts like she's got some go. So that's the main
attitude is
thing.
very important.
Oh, absolutely. You have a horse with a bad attitude, and I'll tell you, it drives the horse is about, you know, is a little simple, and then it drives the trainer crazy, trying to figure out all the changes. You keep making changes and changes to try and straighten her attitude up, and it's tough. It's tough to have one. If you get one with a good attitude, though, normally they'll make you a nice racehorse. I always say that.
Well, best of luck to no more, no less. This is Search the Sea, and John, this is the one you just gelded.
Yes, gelded him Saturday, and he's still a little sore, but he's pacing all the time now, and had trouble gaiting him up, and but it wasn't so much that he had a bad attitude, he just had the wrong things on his mind, by being a stud. So we had to geld him, and he pays attention a lot now, and he's starting to really come around. We finally got him pacing right before we gelded him, but we couldn't keep him quiet on the track or in the barn, and when horses walk by or anything. But this horse has a lot of try, and excuse me, and I think that he'll make a nice racehorse. He's good gaited, and he acts like he has some speed, and you know, I hope he turns out.
What's the breeding?
He is a down by the seaside. And we Charles bought him for, I think, $23,500 to give for him.
Now, he doesn't seem as big as some of the other down by the seasides I've seen.
No, he's not a great big colt, but he's not little. I mean, he's sort of down in this stall some, but he's not a little colt. But he is good gaited and carries himself well on the racetrack. So,
what's your opinion on size for horses?
Well, you know, I don't like to have a great big horse. I just think they're harder to keep sound, and I think that you have to train them different. to keep them sounder after you get them there. And the smaller horses, they seem to stay sound. They're all going to get sore, don't get me wrong, when they got to go fast or do things. But, you know, they don't seem to get sore as much or as quick. And I've had all my luck with small horses, to be honest with you. And
you know, you think of a small horse compared to a large horse. You'd think those legs have got to move a little faster, though, for a small horse to keep up with the big horse, the bigger stride.
Yes, and you know, it all depends on how they cover the ground. You know, how they get up off the ground, how they reach, and you know, Catch a Fire was a fine example. And you know, I had another one by the name of Lex Vegas. They were small horses, and they was really good gaited, and they just covered the ground so well. They was flawless. You know, they made no mistakes. They had no mistakes in their conformation or their gait. So hopefully this one here will turn out like that. I'm hoping that he will.
Search the sea. Thanks, John. And after a short break, we're going to head over to the Mark Winters stable to take a look at his 2-year-olds.
Looking for your next quality standard bred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. Sugar Valley's lineup of stallions includes World Champion, Down by the Seaside, Lather Up, the fastest horse in harness racing history, Little Brown Jug Champion and Dan Patch Pacer of the Year, Well Said, Adios and Little Brown Jug Elimination winner Catch the Fire, and the newest addition to the lineup, Marseille. Sugar Valley Farm, the home of champions.
Racing is back at Eldorado Scioto Downs. Catch the excitement all summer long. Live racing every Tuesday through Saturday nights. First post time is at 6:15. Mark your calendar to see the future stars with the $150,000 Next Generation on July 2nd and 3rd. On the 2nd, it's the 2-year-old Trotters, followed by the Pacers on the 3rd. Horse players earn points with the new Caesars Reward Program. Eldorado Scioto Downs live racing is back.
Another edition of Freshman Focus. We're here in Washington Courthouse at the Fayette County Fair grounds, and with us is Mark, the original Winters. Got to tell you a story. Before we even talk to him, he doesn't like to be called senior, so we're going to call him, he's the original Mark Winters. And Mark, we welcome you to the broadcast. We want to talk to you about some of your young horses and such. How long have you been in the business?
Started in 1988.
Was your family before you involved in racing?
No, no, they wasn't. Actually, Walter Ferguson Jr. lived down the road from me. He was a blacksmith, and I got to kind of going around with him. I seen a lot of money change hands, and he made it look very easy.
You know, that brings back a lot of memories, because when I first started announcing races back in the 60s, Walter Ferguson Jr. was one of my favorite drivers, believe it or not.
Yep, he was a neighbor of mine. He got me into this miserable business.
So you started out a novice for horse racing?
Yep. Went to Oklahoma in '87 to horseshoeing school. Started shoeing around the track for Bob Stuckey. And Curly Smith, and I was around the track every day, and I decided I'd maybe want to train a horse, so I bought one of my own.
How many 2-year-olds you got this year?
16 of them. 16.
Yep. Is that about right for Mark Winters, or is that too many?
I would rather have a whole bunch of 2-year-olds than nothing else, to tell you the truth.
Trotters or pacers?
Makes no matter. Fast ones.
Fast ones. Can you make more money, though, with a good trotter?
If they're fast enough.
It always seemed to me that there's so many good pacers that you really get a good trotter, you really got something.
Well, yeah, but the trot and hobbles changed the trotting game some. Yeah, I don't like trotting hobbles. I'll use them if I have to, but I don't like them.
It's a last resort.
Yes.
Do you feel that horses go faster without the hobbles, the trotters?
No, not necessarily. If they need them, they need them. If they don't, I would prefer not to have them on.
Your horses basically are homebreds. Is there an advantage to homebreds, or do you occasionally visit the sales?
Occasionally I do. I got a couple clients that buy out of the sale, but I don't really care where they come from, just as long as they're here.
So you don't spend a lot of time looking at the catalogs and things like that?
Actually, Jeff Nysonger does that for me.
Really?
Yes. He's very particular about that. He'll go through every horse in a catalog.
Now, why would he recommend one to you and not keep him for himself, though?
Because he can only buy so many.
Yeah. So maybe you take the overflow and...
Yeah, or maybe his owner will spend more money, or maybe mine will spend more. Actually, we've bid on the same horse.
Really?
Yeah, sitting side by side.
That makes an interesting period of time.
Yeah.
You ever say, hey, come on, let's go partners on this?
No, because it's not for me. It's not my money.
Do you enjoy training the young horses?
Yes, very much.
Yet, when you start out with one, you get it early on. Do you go through the process of line breaking and all those things?
Some of them I do on my own. Some of them I send to an Amish guy down in Hillsboro, Ohio.
I hear this more and more from some trainers, that the Amish are good people to break horses.
They are, they get the job done.
So when you get them, do you basically try to keep all of your 2-year-olds on the same type of a schedule?
Try to, but you'll get soreness here and there, and then they'll lose a week or so, and they'll get a little bit behind. And then you kind of got to match them up to where one ain't outdoing the other one. You got to keep them paired up, and them pairs might switch 2 or 3 times from the beginning of their training till the time you race them.
To get a good racehorse, what would you say is the #1 ingredient?
Smart. They got to be smart. They got to have some brain to them.
Isn't it true that horses are the smartest of all animals, so to speak?
Yeah, but they're individually, they're different. I mean, you can have a smart horse, and then you can have a not so smart horse. The not so smart horse could be better gaited, better bred. The smarter horse, in my opinion, will outdo him.
There's a lot of time that goes into getting horses to the races and such. Your schedule for your 2-year-olds when the stake season gets here, where do you like to be going into a qualifier?
Our track right here, I like to work them somewhere between 5 and 6 before we take them to qualify. And then they're pretty handy between 58 and 2 minutes at Scioto.
Do you believe in giving them a start before the stake season, or do you race them right into the stakes?
All these horses is mainly staked, double staked. They're staked at the fairs, they're staked at the sire stakes. I use the qualifiers I would prefer a couple qualifiers, and then I use them to judge where they really need to race at.
Is there a lot more headaches involved with the young horses? Do you worry about them?
Oh, constantly.
Perplexed?
Constantly. See all these wrinkles?
Yeah.
I'm only 56. I ain't supposed to have all these. A lot of worrying. Lots of worrying.
When do you make the determination that this one's not going to make it, turn him out and we'll bring him back as a 3-year-old, or do you run into situations like that?
Even the ones that I don't think is going to do it too, I keep them till I get them trained down a little bit so they're not so far behind when they come back next year. I at least like them to have a general idea of what training is, or...
You know, another thing that in the business, they feel that maybe we race the 2-year-olds too much.
You can't help but not to. There's too much money involved.
Do you develop a relationship with your horses? Do you feel that they're almost like one of the family?
Oh yeah, they're hard to get rid of.
I think that's the one thing that's probably misunderstood by so many people outside of the sport.
Yep.
Our horses are our family.
Yep. Yep. You have ones that you really like, and then you have ones that you don't really care for.
Yeah.
That's a good situation that I'm in. I've got a smaller stable. If I got a horse that I'm not getting along with real well, Bobby can take it. Jeff can take it. Maybe they get along with it. So,
by having good second trainers, it enables you to stand off to the side sometimes and look at them out on the track and get a different kind of perspective, doesn't it?
yeah, but I would really rather be out there. I can tell more out there than I can from the side.
Do you try to sit behind your 2-year-olds?
Every one of them. Every one of them.
They're all different?
Yep, at least, I try to at least go with them once a week.
Well, you've learned something about Mark, the original Winters, and his perspective of breaking and training young 2-year-olds in harness racing. We'll move into the barn area and take a look at a few of his young proteges. Who we got here?
Dirty Harry too.
What's his breeding?
He's a Knob Hill High out of Silville Shepherd.
He's got some good size to him.
Good size, good length. Nice horse.
Is he broader than, he's got a chest on him.
Yep. Nice horse.
What's special about him?
His attitude.
You know, it seems like we get right down to all horses and it starts with their attitude.
Yep. You got to have a horse that likes to do their job. If they don't like to do their job, it makes my job harder.
As far as that job, you want them to do what you want them to do rather than what they want to do.
Exactly.
So they're able to adapt?
Some of them can, some of them can't.
Well, that's what you want, though.
Yes.
How would you rate him with your others?
Actually, he's right with them. We did castrate him last week, so he's on standby there for a week, 10 days.
Okay. Well,
But
good luck.
He really needed it.
Good luck with Dirty Harry 2. Oceanfront property. What's he buy?
He's down by the seaside.
Now, have you seen many of the down by the seasides?
Just the two that's in here.
Yeah. A lot of them are big. How would you describe this one?
I think he's going to be medium, or maybe on the large size of medium.
They said that the down by the seasides, when they walked into the sales ring, they could be on 3 legs and they'd probably pay $50,000 for them.
Well, they didn't this one because
Is he?
I think it was because of his head.
Why? What's wrong with his head?
Not Roman nose.
Oh.
A lot of people don't like that.
Is that what they call Roman nose?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's got a
You
bad
win
one.
races by the nose, but that's kind of the
I always
forehead
figured that was
almost.
like a tunnel ram on a
Yeah.
car.
It doesn't affect the way they race, though, does it?
I don't think so. No, a lot of people think that they don't get their air quite as good.
How's he training?
Good, excellent.
Would you say that he's been a rather easy one to get along with? Or has he had his problems?
No, he's fairly easy.
Good attitude?
Yep, very good.
How important is it for a horse to have a good attitude?
Very important. They gotta like their job.
Do you like your job?
Oh yes, I wouldn't be doing it.
Horses and Mark Winters go together, don't they?
Well, if they're good ones.
This one we hope will be a good one for you.
I hope he is too.
Oceanfront property. One Rockin' West. How's he doing?
Doing well. Liking.
He is on the small sides.
Yeah, but I think he'll grow. We've had pretty much the whole family.
Yeah. Do they grow much during their 2-year-old season?
Some of them do, some of them don't. But they do at 3. Between 2 and 3, I like to see them grow a bunch.
Does that have anything to do with once the racing season's over? Is that when they get their growth spurt?
Oh, some of them do in the middle of it. I think that's where a lot of your soreness is comes from too. It's when they're growing and you're trying to train them.
Is this a homebred?
Yes, this is he'd be a brother to Naked by 9.
Easy to get along with?
Yes, kind of scary because the rest of them haven't been.
You mean that he's probably your best attitude horse in the barn?
Not the best, no, but he's no trouble to get along with. And the rest of the family's been a little more difficult to get along with.
Yeah. Now, is he staying right along with all the others in the stable, basically?
Oh, yes. Yep.
County fair or stake races at the
Too early to
latest
tell.
show?
You don't know that until you put them behind the gate.
Do you get a feeling early on?
Boys, mostly the ones that you think's training the worst, they end up being your best racehorses.
So they change over the period of time.
Very much so.
Being at a county fair, how do you, or county fairgrounds I should say, introduction to the starting gate?
Usually Mike Wapkenberg comes in here a day and we have like a personal matinee, I guess you could call it.
That's very important, that first experience with the gate, isn't it?
Yep. Yep. Very important.
Do most horses learn to like the gate, do you feel?
Some of them do, some of them don't.
They get scared or what?
I had a brother to him that he was like 4 or 5 before he got used to the gate.
Really?
Yes.
You would think.
He was bad. I don't look for this horse to be that bad.
Yeah. Temperament's good and everything?
Yep. Yep.
Good luck with him.
Thank you very much.
I want to thank John Ackley and Mark Winters for appearing on this week's edition of Freshman Focus, and hope that you'll join us again next week, same time, same location for Freshman Focus.
This has been Freshman Focus, a look at 2-year-olds in training across the Buckeye State. Freshman Focus is presented by Sugar Valley Farm. Looking for your next quality standardbred racehorse? Look no further than Sugar Valley Farm in Delaware, Ohio. And by Eldorado Scioto Downs, now racing Tuesday through Saturday. First post time, 6:15. Freshman Focus is a presentation of the Ohio Harness Horsemen's Association.